Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 3 and my name is Hana Nurulita. With my partner there are Rizkya, Nabilla and Yulianita. So we will explain about roots. So first, what is roots? Roots are the organs of plant that typically lie below the surface of the soil. Roots has function as anchoring, absorbing stored water and food. And how roots develop? When a seed germinates, there will be a tiny root-like radical that is a part of the embryo within it, grows out and develops into the first root. The radical may develop into two kinds of root. The first is taproot and the second one is fibrous root. What kind of plants that have taproots and fibrous root system? For taproot, most dicot plants have this taproot system. For example, corn and peas, whose seeds have two seed leaves, while for fibrous root, most monocot plants have fibrous root system. For example, corn and rice, whose seeds have one seed leaf. And how about root structure? Close examination of developing young roots usually reveal four regions or zones. These regions are called for the first is the root cape, the second one is the region of cell division, the third is the region of elongation, and the fourth is the region of maturation. So let's move to the first region. The first region is the root cape. What is the root cape? Root cape is composed of a thimble-shaped mass of parenchyma cells covering the tip of each root. Its function is to protect the damage the delicate tissue behind it as the young root tip pushes through often angular and abrasive soil particle. So this is the picture of root cape. And the root cape, whose cells have an average life of less than a week. The root cape can be slipped off or cut from a living root, and when this is done, a new cape is produced. So the root cape has been renewed. However, the root seems to grow randomly, suggesting that the root cape also functions in the perception of gravity. And in the root cape also has a amyloplast act as a gravity response, collecting on the sides of root cape cell facing the direction of gravitational force. Gravitational force. When a, when a root that has been growing vertically is artificially tapped or horizontally, the amyloplast tumble or float down to the bottom of the cell in which they occur.
My name is Rizkya Namira. So today I will explain about the region of cell division and the region of elongation in the roots. The first I will explain about the region of cell division. In the region of cell division, which is composed of an apical meristem, a tissue of actively dividing cells in the center of the root tip, produce the surrounding root cap. In the cell division, the cell will divide every 12 to 36 hours, while at the base of the meristem, it may be divided only one time in every 200 to 500 hours. The apical meristem soon subdivides into three meristematic areas. The first is protoderm, which is an outer layer of the cell, or we can call it as epidermis. The second layer is ground meristem. It will be produce the parenchyma cell of the cortex. And the third is procambium, which appears as a solid cylinder in the center of the roots. It will be produce a primary phloem and primary xylem. Next is the region of elongation. The region of elongation, which merges with the apical meristem, usually extends about 1 cm or 0.4 inch or less from the tip of the roots. In the elongation, the cell will become longer and wider. At the same time, the tiny vacuole merge and grow until one or two large vacuoles, occupying up to 90% or more of the volume of each cell, have been formed. The usually extensive remainder of each root remains stationary for life of the plant. If a cambium is present, there normally is a gradual increase in girth through the addition of secondary tissues produced by the cambium.
To explain about regions of maturations. Regions of maturations is the region where cells differentiate into several types of cells. The positions of these regions is proximal to regions of elongations. As you know before, in roots we have regions of elongations, and proximal to the regions of elongations we have what we call as maturation zone or regions of maturations. The component of these regions is mature and differentiated cells, and the functions of these regions is area of regions of lateral roots for secondary growths, for xylem and phloem differentiations, and also for root hair formations. So, in regions of maturations, we have what we call as root hair. You know, root hair is when you look at a root and you look something hairy. That's what we call as root hair. Root hair is actually a tubular extensions of specialized epidermal cells. These root hair adhere tightly to soil particles. They also increase the total absorptive of root. They absorb water and minerals. And you know that I've said before that root hair is an extension of epidermal cells. Both root hair and epidermal cells or epidermis have thin cuticle which allow water to be absorbed but still sufficient to protect against invasions by bacteria and fungi. Now, below the epidermis, we have what we call as cortex. Cortex actually composed of parenchyma cells. This cortex is placed below the epidermis but before the inner tissues. This cortex is actually almost similar with the stem one, but there is something that differentiates cortex in root and also cortex in stem. Cortex in root has endodermis at its inner boundary. Now let's talk about endodermis. Endodermis consists of a single layered cylinder of compactly arranged cells whose walls are impregnated with lignin and suberin. Lignin and suberin later on form bands called Casparian strips. These Casparian strips prevent water from passing through the otherwise permeable or porous cell walls. Under the endodermis and also the cortex, we have pericycles. Pericycles is an important layer of parenchyma tissue. You know that before I've already stated that all the cells in regions of maturations will become mature and also differentiate into several types of cells. But the cells of the pericycles may continue to divide even after they have matured. So let's say the cells in pericycles is already mature, but they might continue to divide into something else. The radicular roots and part of vascular cambium of dicots arise within the pericycles. Now beneath the pericycles, we have vascular tissues such as xylem and phloem. That's all for regions of maturations. After this, we will have roots modifications.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yulianita Nursakinah and I will explain about root modifications. Root modifications divided into two, which are modification of taproots and modification of adventitious roots. Modification of taproots divided into three, which are for food storage, for better respiration, and nodulated roots. For food storage, there are four kinds of roots. First is conical. Base is broad and tapers gradually towards the apex. As we can see, the base or the upside is wide and the downside is tapering. The example is carrot. Second is fusiform. They swollen at middle and tapering at both the end, so it looks like a spindle. The example is radish. Third is napiform. They spherical at the base, as we can see it looks like a ball and sharply tapering towards the apex. So the end of the root is tapering. The example is beet and turnip. Last is tuberose. They thick and fleshy without any definite shape. The example is 4 o'clock plant. Next is for better respiration. They help to get oxygen for respiration. They occur in large numbers near the tree trunk. So they come out from the ground and grow vertically upwards. They usually found in marshy habitats, for example, pneumatopore in mangrove. Last is nodulated roots. The secondary root of primary taproot bears small tubercles called root nodules, so it is why they called nodulated roots. They help in fixing atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates, which can be absorbed by the roots. The example is legume or kacang polong. And then modification of adventitious roots divided into two, which are for food storage and for support. For food storage, there is simple tuberous roots. These roots are creeping and become swollen and don't assume any shape. So it doesn't have any definite shape and it grows inside the soil. The example is sweet potato. Next is fasciculated tuberous roots. These roots have a definite shape. As we can see, it is long and upright. The example is asparagus and dahlia. Next is nodulous roots. Only a pieces of roots become swollen like single beads, so the bead is only one in the end of the roots. The example is mango, turmeric, and ginger. Next is beaded or moniliform roots. Roots alternately swollen and constricted. It is similar with nodulous roots, but the beads is so many, so it forms a string of the beads. So it is why they called moniliform roots. The example is grass. Last is annulated roots. It looks like number of these placed one above the other. The example in bahasa is akar IPK, which usually used for herbal medicine. Next is modification of adventitious roots for support. There is prop roots. Roots develop from tree branch hang downwards, so it grows vertically downwards and ultimately enter the ground and penetrate the ground. They provide support to heavy branch. As we can see, it is quite long and look like a pillar. The example is banyan tree and mangrove. Next is stilt roots, supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of the stem. They grow obliquely downwards and penetrate the soil. So it is similar with prop roots, but it is shorter and thinner. The example is monocots such as bamboo, sugarcane, and maize. Next is climbing roots. Such plants produce roots from their nodes. They attach themselves to some support and climb over it. The example is black pepper and betel. Next is clinging roots. Special clinging roots arise, enter the crevices of support and fix the epiphyte. The example is epiphyte orchid. And the last is buttress roots. They are present at the basal part of the stem and spread in different directions in the soil. So as we can see, it is vertically elongated and horizontally compressed. It looks like a plank, and the example is ficus, or in bahasa is pohon kayu atau tumbuhan menjalar, bombax, or in bahasa randu alas, and terminalia, or in bahasa is pohon ketapang. That's all from me and from our group. Thank you for watching and we are sorry if there are some mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.